In 1920, Ho Chi Minh, under the name then of Nguyen Ai Quoc, found the path that he stayed faithful to for the rest of his life. He became a French communist, a founding or early member of the French Communist Party in 1920, and on a grant went to Moscow to study at the Toilers of the East School, the Lenin Institute in Moscow. There he became a Soviet citizen and took out a Soviet passport. He graduates from that school in 1926 and goes to China. He's on the staff of the Russian consulate, the Soviet consulate in Canton, China, and he works for Borodin, the famous consul. And he's an international communist organizer, and he brings Vietnamese to China to study revolution. And as they come to study, he supports them as long as he sees that they are open to a communist result of their studies. When they show that they'll cling to their nationalist beliefs, he then sees to it that they are betrayed to the French police back in Vietnam as they re-enter Vietnam. And so this trail even leads him in 1926 to invite his oldest teacher and counselor, the George Washington of the Vietnamese nationalist movement of those days, Phan Boi Chau. He invited Phan Boi Chau to Shanghai to talk about revolution, and he betrayed him to the French security police there in Shanghai for gold. And he used the money to finance a Vietnamese communist movement in China, and that movement in its first protest in the streets protested, "We object to the inhuman French arrest of Phan Boi Chau." So you know you're dealing with a real professional international communist.
Dolf Drodge analyzes the way in which PBS glossed over this negative side of Ho Chi Minh's career.
In the second episode of the PBS series, they make the statement that Ho, when he came to power in 1945, was known by Vietnamese as a patriot for about a quarter of a century. And of course that's so totally wrong, because Ho only took the name Ho Chi Minh in 1941 inside a Chinese prison, and Vietnamese would not have a knowledge of that. But in 1944 he came out of the prison in China, and he came in contact with the United States intelligence agents there, OSS, the Office of Strategic Services, and they wanted him to help organize escape nets for Allied pilots down in North Vietnam fighting the Japanese. And so that was where he first came to Vietnamese in 1944 and said, "I'm Ho Chi Minh, and I'm organizing these efforts and the resistance against the Japanese and the resistance against the French." And they would only have had 1 year to get to know him, and then he would suddenly be standing on a platform saying to them, "I am now leading this new government." And everyone would be saying, "Who is this man?"